I'm Grant Stern, and this is PINAC Live. Today, we're going to discuss the incident that happened on April 19th in Southgate, California. It's a small municipality in Los Angeles County, just south of downtown LA and just north of Compton, where a Southgate resident, a woman, was video recording a joint task force takedown by Los Angeles County sheriffs and the US Marshals. And I don't think it was with her hometown police. She was recording them, and one of the US Marshals, out of the blue, decided that he didn't like her recording activities, seized her camera, destroyed it, and kicked it down the street. And it was caught on a video that's been going viral today. And we're joined by former LAPD police officer, private investigator, the Renegade PoPo, Alex M. Salazar. Alex, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me here, Grant.
So, Alex, were you able to take a look at the video and to read up on the incident on Photography is Not a Crime earlier today?
I was, yes.
And did you recognize any of those guys? What can you tell us about the officers that are in these joint task force operations against gangs in LA?
Right. Well, I don't think there's much to say. It's pretty obvious what happened there. You saw an officer lose control and take a camera away from a citizen of this country, and he destroyed it. He committed the act of vandalism. I mean, what else is there to say? This reminds me, it's very reminiscent of out here in Bakersfield, where a father of 5 children by the name of David Silva was viciously attacked and beaten, and there were several people there that were in fact filming this beating going on, and out of that beating, the police forced these people, witnesses who had seen what had happened, and mysteriously some of the video was erased. And so is it any wonder that there is a lot of paranoia here that's going on right now with law enforcement, where, you know, I mean, this is a cat and mouse game. We just saw how miraculously a couple weeks ago, where Mr. Scott, who was chased down, we saw for our very own eyes a police officer planting a weapon on a person who was dying, and then, you know, walking away and fabricating the story where, you know, it was this man that had caused it. And so, you know, this is very sad. It's a very...
I'd like to ask you a little bit about your experience, your personal experiences with the LAPD, because that's something that very few people out there, former LAPD police officers, did you ever witness stuff like this or similar to this with cops basically attacking citizens for filming?
Not necessarily for filming. You know, when I left the department, it was back in 1998, almost 15 years ago. And back then, people didn't carry around cameras. The police were free to do whatever the heck they wanted to. And it wasn't until 1991 that for the first time a filmographer, a person, videotaped the beating of Rodney King. George Holliday was his name, I believe. So, I mean, this has just always been business as usual. What we're trying to do now is we're trying to rein in this culture of excessive force, of what's going on. Today, they decided that they were going to award a man out here in Los Angeles $650,000. This matter was settled under less than 2 weeks, because right now there's so much fear with what's going on that it's drawing too much attention, and a lot of these jurisdictions, they don't want problems, and so they're seeing now that the people aren't going to be taking this anymore, and that something needs to be done.
Well, that's actually another PINAC story you mentioned. It happened in San Bernardino, and
Correct.
I think it was something like 8 police ganging up and beating a guy for 2 whole minutes. Like, for 2 whole minutes on camera. It only took 2 weeks for them to settle. Is that normal standard operating procedure for police agencies in California?
By no means is that normal. Like I said, it shows the government's now starting to accept responsibility. I think that there's finally good leaders that are saying, you know what, man, we can't do this anymore. We need to handle business because they know what's going to happen next. There's going to be riots. There's going to be attacks on police, and this demonizing of law enforcement and the people continues.
Well, what inspired you to leave the LAPD? I mean,
Well, I wasn't inspired for anything. I was part of the problem. And see, that's one of the things here that I think makes me a little bit unique is that I choose to go into the ugly part of the human psyche. I'm not saying that, I'm cured or that I'm a better person or anything. What I know is that the truth sets me free. And when I talk about these things, I say it because I want to help better law enforcement. I'm not against the police. I'm not someone that's trying to overthrow the government. Rather, I'm an American, just like everybody else. Just trying to live my day-to-day existence. I have unique information and insight that I saw when working law enforcement that I think can help people out. Uh, I'm in a blessed position here to talk about what I think is going on here.
well, let's back up here. There's a central issue, something that you kind of skirted here, but there's a central issue, which is the First Amendment. And it's not just about filming, it's not just about that, but it's also about government censorship in particular. When you were a police officer, did they ever give you any training about censorship in general or at all? Is that something that any police officer
What?
should expect to?
We never talked about censorship. I think that's something very unique here that you're bringing up. This whole issue of trying to silence people. I just know that the police would come up, and Carlos Miller here, he knows that the reason why he became the
Alex, we lost you there. Can you hear us? Uh-oh. Looks like we've lost Alex for a minute here. And he's offline. Well, I'm going to wrap this up by saying that we're going to bring Alex back. Alex M. Salazar is a former LAPD police officer and private investigator. He publishes the blog www.renegadepopo.com, and he also writes for honestcop.org. And we'll be back with more PINAC Live later tonight. My name is Grant Stern. Be the media.